Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. I am so excited to be here with you guys today at the Creative Recruiting Bootcamp. I'm glad that you were able to make it, and it is just my absolute pleasure to be able to bring this information to you and just to be able to help the early childhood education community. My absolute passion is for ECE. Let me introduce myself before I really get started. My name is Evelyn Knight. I am the founder and CEO of Childcare Business Professionals, which is a company that is on a mission. I am on a mission to help 10,000 childcare owners and directors find success while navigating the business of childcare. My passion is to make sure that all children have the opportunity to attend a high quality research-based center. And so that is what I focus on, is helping you, the ECE leaders out there, create the best environments for the children. And right now, the biggest struggle that we have is recruiting, getting new hires on board. So I'm bringing this to you today and this week, this entire presentation, because of my passion to help the ECE community. I just love this community. I'm a big advocate, and I want to see it grow and get to its absolute best. I know we can do this without interference and without help. We can just do it as we band together. I'm also a center owner myself. I have been for over 15 years. I've been a director. I've done it all. But as a center owner, I know what the struggle is like. I have my center every single day. I have 16 employees. I'm actually building a brand new center as we speak. So I know what it's like to be in the trenches. And that is what makes me very different from other childcare coaches, that I actually live the life you guys live every day as well. I'm also the host of the Childcare Business Coach podcast. So if you haven't listened to it yet, please listen to it. I would really appreciate it. And give me a review. I always appreciate reviews. And I'm just going to jump on my phone just to make sure I can see your guys' comment. Let me know that you're here. I absolutely love the interactions. I love to see everybody who is attending. So give StreamYard permission so I can see your comments. Let me know you're here. And let me see. So for some reason, I'm sorry, my team is texting me, and see why they are texting me. I'm not sure if she can find it. But I see several of you guys are here, so let me know. Hello, good morning, Jennifer. Good morning, Angela. I am doing well this morning. I had a great weekend and with my children. So you guys who follow me know self-care is a big deal to me. So let me know what you guys did in the comments to take care of yourself. Good morning, Chrissy. I hope you are doing well. So before we get started, I just want to make sure that you guys have your workbook. I have mine here on my tablet. It's the Creative Recruiting Bootcamp workbook. So hopefully you guys all received yours. If you haven't, let us know in the comments, and somebody from my team will be able to send you one. They can DM it to you right now so that you guys don't have to miss out on having the workbook. Let's see. I see nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. Pam, I know you're on. Will you help Christina? She can't find the live feed. So will you help her? I'm sorry, you guys. As I'm doing this, I'm getting messages on my phone from people. I can't find you. What is going on? So people are actually messaging her trying to find me and this presentation. So hopefully, thank you, Pam. Pam can help out with that. And, I would say anybody who can't find us, just let Pam know. But if you're watching, then you can see us. Okay, so Julie, you need a workbook. Perfect. Pam can get that over to you. She can DM it to you or message, or whichever works. I think right now, as people come in, it might be easiest for her to PM them. And the rest of my team will probably be here as well. If you guys haven't got a message or anything from your concierge, let them know. I have a couple different people that will be helping you through this presentation. So we have a lot of people signed up for this workshop, and I just can't, as one person, I won't be able to help every single one of you as I would like to. So I actually have my team on here this week so that they can engage and help you out. They know everything I'll be teaching. If you have any questions, any concerns, they will be available for you. So if you don't have a concierge yet, let us know so that you can get one. Your concierge will make sure that you get the daily homework, because we will be giving you daily homework. They will be making sure that you get the reminders and know where to find the replay of this, because I know not everybody can be here live. So they can tag you so that you can replay it in case you want to watch it again. They will make sure that you have your workbook and pretty much everything you need. So let your concierge know if you do not have that yet. For my members, if you guys are one of my paid members, the workbook will be posted in the membership group as well. It will not be posted here because this is normally a series that I charge for. I am giving it for free for this week, but I do normally charge for this series. So if you are here, just let you know, all of these videos, the workbook, everything will come down next week. Of course, the workbook is yours to keep. I mean, you'll be able to print it, whatever, if we send it to you. But this isn't something I'm going to leave available past this week, because this is normally a course I do sell. And I am giving it to the ECE community this week for free, just because of my passion for ECE. And anytime I see a huge struggle, I just want to give back. I really just, I love this industry and I want to give back. So for this week only, all the videos, again, all the information will be coming down next Wednesday. So I will give you guys about a week and a half to get through all the content. I know there's a lot, so I want to make sure I give you guys enough time. So again, if you need a concierge, let us know in the comments. We can connect you with somebody within our organization to make sure you have everything you need throughout this series. You have your workbook, you have the oh my gosh, the homework, all and any questions you guys have. We do daily meetings with my team, so they will be able to fill me in. We can get your questions answered. And also on Monday, I will be doing a question and answer session. So if anybody has questions, you can pre-submit your questions and I can go over them on Monday at same time next week, Monday. For those of you who are new, I'm live every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, noon Eastern Time. And I bring some kind of training. I just try to add value to the ECE community every Monday at 9. So next Monday, I will be answering your questions. So submit them throughout the series and we will get that done for you. So really quick, I want to just go over with you guys an overview of what we'll be doing this week. And I feel like there's so much tactical I'm going over, and I'm sorry, I got to grab my notes really quick on this one just to make sure I get it right. Let me see. I'm sorry. I've got notes everywhere, right? So I'm going to go over basically this week, we're going to be focusing on the pillars of successful recruiting in the basically in the era that we live in now. It is hard right now. I know post-COVID, everything has changed. What worked before, I would say January of 2020, no longer works. And we need to just get rid of the old and embrace the new, right? And that is what I'm going to be talking to you guys about. How do we move forward now? How do we basically reinvent ourselves? We need to reinvent ourselves as an industry as a whole. We have to step away from industry standards. We have to step away from not just our industry. This is the recruiting problem that's happening isn't just early childhood, you guys. Today, as you go out and about in your world, I want you to look around at how many now hiring signs you see. Almost all businesses have it. So this is not unique to childcare. In the Facebook groups I'm in and Instagram, wherever I'm in, I'm seeing it constantly like, well, nobody wants to work for a childcare center. Nobody wants to work for EC because of poor pay. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, that is not true. Get that out of your head. Mindset is so very important, right? And if you keep telling yourself, well, nobody wants to work for a childcare center because we can't pay, well, that's going to become true. So you have to reset your thinking, which means we also have to reset what we think of industry standards, and we have to leave what has always been, and we have to embrace what is now needs to become, right? We need to make a new standard. We need to change and shake up our industry as a whole if we're going to survive. And yes, it is that desperate. I am a childcare business coach. I talk to owners every day that are facing bankruptcy, that are about to lose their centers. It's what I do. I go in and I save childcare centers, right? I help owners and directors that don't know how to manage staff, that staff is controlling their center. That's what I do every day. And I'm telling you right now, what we did before the COVID pandemic hit does not work anymore. If you're posting job openings on Indeed, on Monster, on Facebook, on any of your local, like you used to do, it's not going to work. It is not going to work. And later today, we are going to get in to the why. Okay, we will start. I will tell you why. So these are the foundations I'm going to be building on this week. My pillars for how to recruit during this post-COVID season that we're in, which I honestly think this is just, the world has changed. And this is what we really need to do from here on out. So understanding the current work culture, that is the one and number one thing that we're going to work on today. And the number one foundational piece that you guys need to know, why are things the way they are? I know you think you know. Most of us are thinking it's because of the unemployment benefits, right? But they're over. It's not the unemployment benefits anymore. That definitely was a contributing factor, but it isn't that way anymore. Okay. So we're going to talk about the why, and we're going to really dive deep into why is this happening. The next thing we're going to talk about is how to stand out from the crowd when there are literally 1,000 people trying to hire and you're posting your job in Monster. You're 1 in 1,000, right? So how are we going to overcome that? And how do you stand out from the crowd? The next thing we're going to talk about is I want to change how you think about hiring. And I want you to stop hiring and start recruiting. That is how all the best companies do things, right? And as early childhood educators, we oftentimes don't understand business. But if you're going to survive and be successful, you have to start understanding how businesses work. You are running a business. Even if you're running a church-based center, you are still running a business. It needs to function as a business, which means you really need to become business literate. I know that's hard. That was my biggest struggle once upon a time as an owner. I was once a failing owner. I tell the story that 10 years ago, I had an eviction notice on my center's door. And that was my wake-up call. I am still in that center today. That was actually like 12 years ago. But 12 years later, I am still in the same center. I still own it. I went from having an eviction notice and facing bankruptcy to completely turning my center around. I was working 70 hours a week. Now I work like 5 at my childcare center, 5 to 10 hours a week. It doesn't have to be that way. So for those of you owners and directors that are just exhausted and you're drained, I'm here to tell you, I'm living proof. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. But you need to become business literate, and you really need to work on your mindset. Those are the 2 foundational pieces that can change everything for you and help you get your life back. And that is actually the same thing when it comes to recruiting. We have to stop hiring and start recruiting. So that's what I'll be talking to you guys about on Wednesday, how to have that mental shift and how to really start coming from a place of recruiting instead of hiring. The other thing we'll be talking about on Thursday, our pillar number 4, is to be the employer people want to work for. So throughout this week, I want to challenge you to ask yourself, would you want to work for your center? If you were hunting for jobs and you went and did 10 job interviews and you had your choice, because right now the workforce has their choice on where they want to work, would you choose to work for you? So we'll get to really dive deep into that on Thursday on becoming the childcare center that people want to work for. That's also going to help you with your enrollment, because if you are the center that people want to work for, then you're also going to be the center that parents want to bring their children to, right? It goes hand in hand, becoming that category of 1. All year this year, my focus has been on becoming a category of 1. Why is it that I don't struggle? at my childcare center. I don't struggle for enrollment. I don't struggle with my staffing. Why is that? It's because I've set myself aside, right? My team, my amazing team has done a wonderful job, and we've created this system basically and this organization that is a category of one. We don't have to worry about this stuff. It's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, hiring still has been a struggle, and I had to really do my homework to research to figure out why. But once you understand that why, you can fix it, right? But if I keep doing what I was doing, we realized early last year, it's not going to work. We have to change how we do things. So we don't have the struggles that you guys are facing out there. We are hiring. We don't need to hire because we retain our staff. And even post COVID, we don't have a hard time retaining. I don't have a hard time attracting, right? And how do we keep those spots filled? We will talk about that in depth on Thursday. I will go much more in depth with you guys. And then on Friday, I'm going to give you guys a bonus session that's going to be creating a culture that will lead your dream team. We'll really talk. I'm going to keep talking about culture. You guys will hear me talk a lot about culture this week. But on Friday, I'm going to really help you understand how to create that culture that will lead to your dream team. Every time I say that, I know owners and directors out there what you guys are thinking, because this was me once upon a time. One day I walked into my center and I had the feeling I just need to fire everybody. I need to start over. They're all awful. I have this horrible staff and they all need to go, right? How many of you guys, let me know in the comments, how many of you guys have had that thought, have actually had that thought that they want to just be done. They don't want to any of their staff anymore, right? Oh, I see Tiffany. Hello, Tiffany. I see you're on YouTube. Oh, yeah, and we are, you guys, streaming on YouTube, Facebook. It's so nice to see everybody here. But let me know in the comments if you've walked into your center, especially lately, and just thought, my entire staff is awful. They're just awful. They all need to go. I was there. I was that owner once upon a time. And I realized through a lot of work, it was a lot. It wasn't just a like epiphany. I actually did have an epiphany moment that I realized it wasn't them, it was me. It was me as a leader. It was the culture I had created within my center. It was the brand that I wasn't intentionally creating. I actually hadn't created anything. That was the problem. I wasn't thinking, how do I create a healthy culture, right? So I thought I had this horrible staff. When I swapped that out and I decided I need to fix my culture and I worked on it and I fixed it, my staff suddenly changed too. Angie Leslie is one of my newest, she's one of my newest team members, and she was my client when she started working with me. That's exactly where she was at too. Her whole staff was awful. She thought everything was terrible. As she's done the work as our working with childcare business professionals, everything has changed. She has the same staff. I have the same staff, you guys. This happened to me about 10 years ago. My staff is the same. About 70% of those women are the same people that I once thought I needed to get rid of, right? But when I stepped up as a leader and changed my culture, everything fell into place with it. Same thing with Angie. Angie has just been going through this journey for a little over a year. And well, actually, I think it's under a year, a little under a year. And she's already seen just a huge shift in her entire center with the same staff. And the retention is up. But we will talk about that on a different day. Today, we're going to dive more deep into why can't we hire in today's culture. It's really, really important for you guys to get a good grasp and understanding of this. If you're going to hire, you need to understand, how is the workforce thinking? Once we get a good understanding of that, then we can really start adapting to what they need from us, right? As I go into today, I'm going to tell you, this is really difficult. As I did the research on this, I really struggled with it, and I did not like what I found. I think at my age, my generation, it's really hard for us to accept what is happening here, because we come from a time where you got a job, you served your job, you took pride in your work, you did what you had to do, right? You were there for your job. It wasn't the other way around. But there's been this mindset shift where people now see their job as there for them, right? And that is very hard. Let me know in the comments, you guys, does that make your skin crawl? The fact that people are interviewing you instead of you interviewing them, right? It's very hard. It is very hard for us to accept because to us, it was like, I'm working for a paycheck, you give me a paycheck, or I give you a paycheck, therefore you should perform. But now the current mindset is more, I'm working to bring your company money, so you need to reciprocate, right? That basically is the mindset now, is the work I do produces you income, therefore I want more. But we come from a place of, I provide you a paycheck, so I expect performance. So how do we balance that? How do we meet in the middle, right? And that is the problem that we are facing. Employees out there want more. And part of what we need to see, and for those of you guys who are new to me, my background is in neuropsychology. So when I'm looking into these things and doing research, the business research, I always come from a, what is going on in people's brains? What is really, how are people's brains working right now? What is causing this mindset shift, right? So I want to paint the picture for you guys. Most of us are hiring millennials, right? Or the younger group. And I have to say, there's some amazing millennials. I have some amazing millennials working for me. I can't say that this is all of them. There are some wonderful, wonderful millennials out there. One of my team members who is on here today is a millennial who is amazing and does not fit the description at all that I'm about to describe. Oh, Colleen, you said me. Yes, I know. But Colleen and I, we get to vent together about this. And as I say this, I want you to think of you and who we are as leaders. Most of us leaders are a little bit older, or even if you are one of the millennials, you have a much more responsible mindset, right? But I want to paint the picture for you on why this is happening to our current generation. So we have a whole generation of workers who got trophies for losing, who were told they were winners no matter what, right? Who were told they can have whatever they want no matter what. So they played these sports, they lost, but they were still rewarded, just like the team that won, right? They were not even given the scores. A lot of teams nowadays don't even play for points. They never knew what it was like to have to really compete, to have to really step up, to have to be better, right? Not to mention the fact that they go to school now and due dates don't mean anything. You and I, as mom and dad, we could log into their school, the grade book, basically. Everybody has a different program they use, but we log on to the teacher's grade book. We look at missing assignments. We get on our kids and tell them, hey, you got a missing assignment. That was due 2 weeks ago. Why wasn't that turned in? The teacher accepts it. When we went to school, if you were late, you were done. The cutoff was the cutoff. That was it. Children also get an F on a test or a paper. They get to redo it unlimited amount of times now. And we as parents encouraged this. Okay, so we have a lot of responsibility here. They get an F and they get to redo their paper, right? And they basically get unlimited chances to keep going and keep it up until they did well. So they didn't have to perform for a timeline. They can turn anything in until the grade book closes. They don't have to hit deadlines. They don't have to perform. If they miss attendance, their attendance isn't great. Even we as parents can get truancy letters, but we still get that. All we have to do is write them a letter, and it's an excused absence, right? So we have raised a generation of children who don't know what it's like to lose, who were given trophies for everything, who don't know what it's like to have to turn something in a timely manner, who can have unlimited attempts when they failed at something, who were told that they can do whatever they want and be whatever they want, but they were never taught how to work for it. So I want you guys to put that in perspective. If they were late, they were given excuses. They didn't have to show up, right? That is the generation that we are employing right now. They were never taught that responsibility. So for how many of you does that resonate with? How many of you are like, oh my gosh, is that like when I was doing this research and doing the brain work, I was studying Simon Sinek, who is just a genius when it comes to being an employer, recruiting different things, and just leading basically teams. And he was the one who really just nailed it for me. And as somebody with a psychology degree, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. We did not teach our kids, right, how to be responsible. And now they are entering the world and they're realizing, wait a second, I actually have to perform for something. Somebody actually expects something of me. I actually have to show up on time. I actually have to show up. They were never taught this. They don't know. So this is going to make some of your skin crawl. It made my skin crawl. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. But it has become our responsibility to train them how to be employees. So not only do we have to train this new workforce, and not only do we have to recruit them with this in mind, but we now have to go in and teach them how to do the job, but we also have to teach them how to show up, what our expectations, and making it clear. And we have to do that from the time we're recruiting. We have to be very clear on expectations, right? So as you're trying to put the fact that you have a job out there, keep this in mind. You're working with a workforce that doesn't understand that they have to earn something. They don't understand that things aren't just given to them. And I know that sounds awful, but I will give you guys solutions as we go throughout the week on how to attract them and how to deal with this issue. Yes, Elizabeth says, absolutely. No wonder different mindset. Yeah, it's crazy, right? I mean, when you really put it in perspective, we all know this. But as employers, we really don't think about it. And we wonder why. We wonder, why are we struggling with our teams? We wonder why this is going on. Why can't we recruit? Why can't we hire? Why doesn't anyone want to work? Well, this is the generation we're dealing with. Now let's throw COVID in. COVID was a huge traumatizing experience. If you have ever done any research on trauma, trauma is a very big deal. And what it does to the brain, I could teach an entire 5-hour seminar on. I'm just going to really, so I can't go into it. But now, on top of this awful work ethic that we did not teach that generation, right? I'm a mom of a millennial, so I've got to take accountability here. Now we've got trauma on top of that. We've got the COVID trauma that we're all facing, right? All of us have dealt with something that's just traumatic during COVID. So now we have this huge problem. We have a workforce that doesn't know what it means to have a work ethic, that was never taught. Normally, you go through sports in school and that teaches you, but we let them get away with everything, right? We did this, you guys. We did this. So now they also are traumatized. And we have this huge recipe for disaster, right? So I know today is going to be kind of like, oh my gosh, but don't worry, I have solutions. So as we go, I do have solutions. So the COVID crisis definitely made things worse. We were already facing, if you guys think about it, before COVID, we were hiring, but were you retaining staff, right? How was it dealing with them? How was it teaching them that, you don't get to sit through nap time on your cell phone. Nap time, and you're still on the clock, you still need to work. I'm sure I'm preaching to a few of you when I say that. Or when you go on the playground, you need to be walking around and interacting with the children. Playground time isn't break time, right? Or when it comes to playtime, instead of them just standing around watching the children play, why aren't you engaging? Why aren't you with them on the floor? Why aren't you playing, right? We were already dealing with a tough workforce, and now it has just gotten so much harder. But there is a solution. We can help. I can help with this. I can tell you, it's just for us, first thing we need to do is change our mindset. Then we have to help change theirs. Okay. We have to help to speak to them in their language and change their mindset and help them to see what's going on. The other thing I want you guys to realize is that during COVID, we were forced to learn how to adapt without the money. And a lot of times, yes, unemployment got really bad. It carried a lot of people. A lot of projections say in January we will see a big change because the money that people had saved up, the different funding that they had is going to be running out. So there will be more people coming back into the workforce, right? We do see that. But at the same time, people adapted. Families moved in together. They learned how to live on smaller budgets, and they realized that they don't like working so much. So we need to speak to those people too. And that's where we'll come from, recruiting instead of hiring. Okay. So I know it's a lot, but there are solutions to all of this. The next thing that we're facing is that there are so many jobs out there. There are so many jobs that we are competing with that it's basically become an employee's market. They can pick and choose. And now we have to compete for them. I know for us, especially if you're around my age, my generation, it's really hard, right? We don't want to think of like, I have to compete for somebody to work for me. Are you kidding me? I am providing them with a job. Why do I need to cater to them? But unfortunately, if we keep that attitude, we're not going to make it. We have to adapt. We have to change. When times change, you have to learn how to pivot with what the current situation is. I was actually talking to my director, Brandy, last week, and her and I are both very, very like work ethic minded. I mean, I could tell you guys, Brandy has actually passed kidney stones at work and would not leave. Or like there's actually been times, well, I can tell you right now, she has surgery just next week. She's going into surgery. I'm trying to tell her, Brandy, you have to take your 6 weeks off to recover. She's like, yeah, no, I'll be back in 3 weeks. Like, no, you have to take this time. No, I'll be back in 3 weeks. Like, and so we're like actually negotiating on when she's coming back to work. And she's like, okay, how about if I work from Zoom? Like, oh, we'll see. But that is just a good work ethic, right? I mean, our generation has this work ethic that you show up, you do your best, you perform, and it is for me personally, it is a reflection of me. The job I put out into the world is a reflection of me, and I'm very, very conscientious, and I want to take pride in who I am, so I take pride in my work. But that is a mindset that isn't really around so much anymore. Now it's more what's in it for me mindset, right? And unfortunately, we're in a position where we are competing for these positions. We have, if you go on to Monster as an employee, you literally have 1,000 jobs to choose from. So how are we going to stand out and make sure that they choose us? And I will tell you right now, I know what you guys are thinking. Most of you think, well, I can't afford to compete. I can't pay enough to compete. If you look at the research and you really look at how the human brain works, money is not the driving factor for somebody when choosing a job. It is what they're putting out into the world. So do not let money scare you. People will take a job for $5 an hour less if the culture is right, if the mission is right, and if it is actually impacting their life. Okay. So but so many of you are not focusing on that. And I can tell you, if there's nothing else you remember from this series, if you just remember that one thing, it will change everything for you. It will change how you enroll, how you retain your staff, and how you hire. Okay. Employees, people don't choose you on that what you might think. They choose you on what do you bring to the world? What is the bigger picture? My staff is very loyal to me, and there are some people in here that are my staff. I'm sure my staff usually watches my training. I know I can see a couple of my staff members when I look at the feed, but my staff will tell you they follow me because of what I'm doing in the world, right? I have this huge vision of change. Like I said earlier in this, I am going to change 10,000 childcare centers. I may never own 10,000, but I know I can make changes to 10,000 childcare centers, right? Because my vision is to make sure that all children, regardless of their socioeconomic status, of where they live, how much money their parents make, they all deserve to be in quality care and education. I live that. I breathe that. It's why I do these free trainings for you guys, right? And because I'm so passionate about a real cause and I make a real difference in this world, I make a sincere, authentic difference. My staff follows me. They don't make more, you guys, than what you think is out there, right? They deserve a lot more. They deserve triple what they make, but I pay competitive wages just like you. But they stick with me and I do recruit. And it's because I don't focus on what the rest of the world really focuses on. I understand that there's something bigger out there that we can sell to employees, right? And the key, if you remember nothing else, the key is helping the people out there see that, helping them see what is that bigger thing that you're selling. And don't worry, we'll get much more into that. I know that sounds like huge, like, well, how on earth do I do that? I am dedicating a whole session on how do you do that? How are you going to accomplish that? Good morning, Lisa. I see you there. Yes, let's see. True. I just had an employee who came back to me for the feeling of purpose. Exactly. And that does happen, right? I've had a few. I have one employee right now who I have two actually. Both left me for about a year. They would have actually been with me for like 13 years consistently. And it's the same thing where they tried to go experience something else and they realized that what we do in this world is so much bigger that it's not always about money. Sometimes it does have to be. I will qualify that. Sometimes people need to pay their bills. Absolutely. I get that. But most of the time, it is not about money. People want to know that they're making a difference in the world. You leaders in ECE, I'm pretty sure each one of you can make more money than you're making right now if you went and got a different job, right? I'm sure 90% of you watching here right now know you could go get a job, especially in the current climate right now. What's going on in the world? There's so many job openings. You can go get a job making more money than you are right now. Why aren't you? Why do you stick with your center? Why aren't you going out and making more money? That is what you need to sell. That's how you're going to attract employees. That is how you're going to get people to stay and get people loyal. That is the key. So I could just wrap it up right there, but we won't. There's so much more. So that is basically what I want to leave today. My last thought I want to give you guys is that there is hope. You can recruit. You can. We just have to change your mindset. We have to change how we're going into the world and that what we're attracting, right? That's the other thing too we'll talk about this week is I'm really going to get into what are you attracting? Are you attracting the employees that you want working for you? And if not, how are we going to start bringing them into your center? And how are you going to start attracting them, right? My team is very like-minded with me, and there's a reason for that. I am very intentional. I do not hire based on somebody's resume. I couldn't care less how many years of experience you have. I couldn't care less what degrees you have. I don't care. What I want to know is who you are. I want to know your values and your character. I want to know what is in your heart. I can train any employee to be a great teacher. I can train and I can give them their education. I do. I put my staff through college. I prefer CDA. I'll be the first to say CDAs seem to have much better outcomes, but I will still give them their bachelor's degree if they want. I will do that for my staff, but I don't care what their resumes look like. I would rather build their resume than hire somebody who has 20 years experience of bad habits and who is stuck in their mindset and doesn't have the heart for children. That is one of the big things for me. So I will really dive deep into that, but that is also why my center has this culture that still fits what I love and what I believe in, right? And that's why when I go in there, it makes me happy. It doesn't drain me. I don't feel drained when I'm at my center. It makes me happy still. So let me look at some of your comments here. A real eye-opener and game changer. Well, thank you, Elizabeth. I hope it is. That's just day one, right? This is just day one. I'm laying the foundation on how I want you guys to start thinking about this. So I know today, I think you guys will have a lot of epiphanies from today. But for the rest of the week, I will definitely bring you guys the, okay, now how do we deal with this, right? So today I'm giving you the why, but understanding why is this happening is absolutely vital in order to change and in order to move forward and be able to start recruiting, right? If you guys don't understand why this is happening, you're not going to be able to make the changes, especially if you're kind of old school like me. It's really hard to accept some of this, right? And some of us old school, it makes me feel so old, I'm not gonna lie, but it does. It just, when you got this old school thought pattern, it's not going to work with what the current workforce is. And we are going to continue to be in this position. What I was saying about Brandy and I earlier, we actually sat down and talked about it. And we were like, well, if we can't accept this, then it's time to retire. If we can't accept and meet the workforce where they are, then maybe it is really seriously time to retire, because it's not going to change. This is the future. And it's not such a bad thing. I mean, think about it from their perspective. As an employee, they're demanding more out of life. That's not so bad. It's not a bad thing. We should all be demanding more out of life, right? I mean, we should all want better for ourselves. Our children are out there. My children are out there going for jobs. I want better for them. So even though it's hard to accept, when I really sit down and think about it, I realize maybe it's not such a bad thing that employees are demanding more. Maybe we can use this to really level up ECE to where we want it to be. We want to be seen as more professional, right? We want that recognition. We're always desperate, but we don't want to treat our workforce like they're professionals. And again, it doesn't have to come with a huge paycheck, you guys. It's mindset. It's how do we present it to them? How do we come in and help them to see that they are making a huge difference in the world and they are professionals, right? So we are at a wonderful time. As hard as it is with the old school mindset, we're actually at an amazing time where we can change the course of early childhood education forever, right? And that is my mission, is to change it to make it better for the children and better for our employees. So I think it's time for us to embrace this. And as we move forward this week, we really just need to embrace the changes and accept them. And I did have a serious thought about, if I'm not willing to accept this and embrace it, it's time for me to retire my center. And I realized, no, I'm not done. I still have a lot of work to do with the children at my childcare centers. I still am building a childcare center. I'm going to face it. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to make it work. And I'm going to love it in the end, right? I'm going to make it work and figure out a way to love it. So I hope you guys are with me on this. We need great centers out there, and we definitely don't need to quit on the children right now. But I understand at the same time if it's hard to adapt. So let me see some more of your comments. Let's see. Yes, mindset absolutely matters. That is why I've brought Angie Leslie onto my team, who is a mindset coach. So if any of you need to work with a mindset coach, we actually have one now. Since the workforce has changed, do you foresee the need to change anything on the new step orientation workbook? Yes, absolutely. So for my members, if you're part of my membership, I actually train my members and I give you guys a 6-month onboarding process. The first 30 days of that onboarding process is very intense, right? And it is on-the-job training. I know I'm an owner. I can't afford to stick somebody in class for 30 days. And so I've developed a training where they're actually training every single day for 30 days, so that by the time that 30 days is over, they're in the classroom. So it's on the job training, right? But it's guided. So I'm literally guiding them through the day on learning how we want things done. But what I was just talking about has led me to realize that I do need to adapt and change our onboarding process. So absolutely, for my members, I did already start working on it. We are changing and adapting. If you are one of my members, you guys know right now, as we speak, I am doing my my leadership series, right? And last week we started it where we're starting from the foundation of, if you were a director and you're hiring someone brand new. So we are doing, like this week, the recruiting, right? And then we're going to do like the interview process, the hiring process. And then once they start, how do we assimilate them into our culture that first 6 months? And then we're going to go into doing semi-annual reviews, monthly observations, communication with the staff, all of the things, right? So we're just starting that right now. So for my members, I am changing it. We are going to be adding that basic being an employee literacy. I know that sucks, but we're doing, for me, it's like just that old school stuff. I'm like, I cannot believe I have to do this, but I do. We have to teach people that, yes, it is important for you to show up to work every day. It is. We expect you here. Your staff relies on you. So yes, I am going to actually be incorporating that into the new hire training, basic how to be an employee. We're going to start teaching our employees work ethic. So that is going to be incorporated into our new hire training. I'll probably add it into the days. I mean, you guys know that the new hire training isn't very tough. The first 2 weeks are pretty simple. It's pretty much like legal stuff. What does state want from you? All the, just dotting your I's and crossing your T's type of stuff. So I will probably incorporate that into the first 2 weeks. We'll just add to it. The second half is much more intense, where it's like, how do you deal with behavior issues, which we're adding to that as well, you guys. It's probably going to be a 60-day course by the time I'm done. But how do you deal with behavior issues? Why are classrooms set up the way they're set up? How do you communicate with parents? What are some of the other things we really focus on? How do you conduct yourself during nap time, outside time? How do you engage in conversation? How do you build vocabulary, literacy, math, all of the things, right? There's so much. That's why it is a 6-month long onboarding process. So we are going to be adding to that absolutely for my members. So just definitely dealing with that. Let me see. It's a number. Let's see. We're seeing new staff completing those orientation packets as if they're school homework. Just fill in the blanks and don't retain what they've asked them to learn. Okay. And that's part of, I absolutely see. Yeah, I think that's one of the problems. So what I would say is, and I can't see who you are on that question. Let me pull up my phone so I can see, is are you doing weekly meetings with the staff? Because they really, new hire training, any kind of training doesn't work if you're not being coached. That is why I started my coaching program. Okay. I was a trainer. I have been a certified trainer for the state of Nevada for many, many years. But I did this study and found that through research, it was somebody else's research, and I can't remember who it was, but basically, when you take a training course, you only retain 15% of the information that you were taught. You only implement 3% of the information. If you take training and you actually mix it with coaching, that 3% actually turns into 85%. That is a huge jump. So that's why if you guys are doing the new hire training that I've designed, every Friday I have you guys doing a coaching session with your new hire. The coaching session is where change is going to happen, right? Observations. And then if you guys are doing my observation method where you're weekly observing your classrooms, that's where you're going to see change. Just remember, when you're just giving people training and saying, go do this on your own, you're not really making change. I mean, it's going to help. I'm not saying it's not going to help, but if they're only retaining 15% of that, it's only 15%, right? If you're coaching them, and it doesn't take long, maybe 30 minutes every Friday, that's it. You're going to take that 15% and turn it into 85%. So if you don't have the template for coaching, I did create an accountability template for you as a manager in order to make sure that you're keeping running records of your coaching sessions, right? So if you don't have that, let me know and I can point you in the right direction and I will check. Unfortunately, on StreamYard, which is what I'm using so that I can be on YouTube and LinkedIn as well, it just tells me Facebook user. It doesn't tell me who you are unless you give StreamYard permission. So let me see. Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth. If you're not a member, thank you, Elizabeth. If you're not a member, I highly recommend it. Thank you so much for recommending me. I just love you guys. Oh, it's Christian. Great, Christian. Yes. Christian, why don't you schedule a time with me and we can talk about that and I can walk you guys through like that coaching piece of it. Because coaching is the pivotal piece. Because people don't remember anything. I mean, if you guys are using, for those of you who aren't my member, if you're just using a manual, nobody's reading it. Nobody's reading a manual, right? It doesn't matter if it's a digital, it's whatever. So with my new hire training, we've basically our policies, procedures, and employee handbook, and not like the legal stuff, but the policies and procedures. How do you want diapers changed? And yes, I get that technical. We have an 8-step diaper changing procedure. How do you want them changed? How do you want snack time distributed? I mean, we get into the nitty gritty, but the most important things, like how do you engage with children? How do you deal with behavior issues? How do you deal with biting, stuff like that? We have worksheets that basically forces the staff to read your policies and procedures. And if you don't have policies and procedures, so a lot of you think you do, but you probably don't. If you don't have written procedures on how do you deal with biting every single time a child bites, how do you deal with accidents, how do you deal with a hitting, your behavior plan, do you even have a behavior plan? That is what policies and procedures are. They're documented systems. If you have an irate parent, how do you deal with it? Documented systems, so that every single time your staff knows exactly what they need to do without coming to you for every little thing. It's documented. You can hand it, like if they come, oh my gosh, this child's biting. Well, here you go. Here's our policy. This is how you deal with it, right? Same thing every time. So I would definitely, if you guys don't have that, get a hold of one of my team members. They can tell you how to work with us so that you can get something like that. But I am going down a rabbit hole. It's one of my favorite rabbit holes, but still it's a rabbit hole. So getting back to recruiting, I hope you guys have found all of this information helpful today. Let's see. Yes, I agree. We definitely, the problem we've been hamster wheeling on. Yes. And that is what happens a lot of times as owners. We just feel like hamsters on the wheel until we see that change occurring, which is definitely where we need to become mentors. Coaching is a big one for me, but now I think we are going to need to focus on being mentors. And we are raising an entire workforce, which is it sucks. I'm not going to lie. It does suck, but we are literally raising them at this point. They were not raised to learn how to be responsible adults. And now that is what we have, a bunch of workers and people seeking jobs and employees who were never told no, who were rewarded for anything and were given chances over and over and over again when they failed. They don't know how to fail. They don't know how to lose. They don't know that you have to work for something. And I know it sucks, but if we don't adapt, we're not going to make it. So I hope that was helpful for you guys today. I will be back tomorrow and we'll start getting really into the nitty gritty on, okay, so now that I gave you guys the why, how are we going to fix it? So have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. And again, if you don't have a workbook, let us know. If you don't have a concierge, let us know. And your concierge can actually get with you to make sure that you have everything you need for the series. Thank you, everybody.